When it comes to picking your battle dragons, you want to have a good balance of attack and health. If you can see here, I laid out the all of Missy's dragons, whether they're common, rare, uncommon, epic, all of that type of dragon. And then I put the attack and health and then the elements on there as well. Along with the attack and health ratios, you want to look at their elements. If they have bad or not elements that don't help you as much in battle, they're not going to be great for you to feed up. They're not going to help you win those battles. Now I'm going to go ahead and hide some of these cells just so we can get a better idea of who we want, to look at the ones that are higher. Okay, so here we can see we have agave that I've highlighted. It's got fire, water, and plant. This is a good one until you can get some of the more legendary and divine dragons as we go along. This is a good one to use because fire is a good defensive spell, and immediately out of the gate will take out a lot of energy of the other dragons. Then you've got plant that once you've leveled it up in Academy, once you hit it with plant, depending on which one you'll choose, and I'll show you that later, which mastery to choose once you get to level, like Academy level 6, you hit it, and then once they go to do their hit, it'll take another chunk of their power out. And then once that dragon dies, the other two dragons that you're fighting will also be affected by plant. So this plant is a very good element to use when you're doing those battles that can't be taken out just like immediately. And water, of course, is good for healing your dragons. If you've got a battle that's going to go on for a little while, it's good to have that in the rotation in case so it can heal your dragon so you don't die and you can kind of keep the battle going longer. Now we've also got, let's look at Golden Crow. It's got a pretty decent health attack ratio. If you look, it's got plant, metal, and energy. Metal is not an element that is super wonderful to use. It's nice if you've got a battle that's going to be prolonged and you've got it leveled up to through the academy through level 6. You can activate it onto your own dragons, so when the opposing dragons attack you, they are attacked in return and take some of their health off. So that's helpful if you've got a long-term battle that's not going to be like one and done. And it's got plant, so that's not bad. Energy it's not the greatest either. It has a good punch, and it's good to have an energy dragon in the lineup in case you've got some dragons that are only, like, the immunity is just energy, is against elements that, like, if it's immune to fire, it's going to be really difficult. Usually if it's immune to fire, I go to plant, but if you can't do plant, then energy is a decent one. Light is obviously the best you can do, but when you're at these lower levels, it's harder to get dragons who have light or that have the light element. And if they do have light, they're not a higher up dragon that you really are going to want to utilize. Like you can see with Pitaya, it's got wind, plant, and light. This would actually not be a bad one, and I'm going to suggest probably feeding this one up for now because it's got a good attack health ratio. Wind is it's not bad. It's good for those longer term battles because it can make your opponents, their attacks less effective. So that's not a bad one to use. It's just not it's not good for the defense. It's good for the offense. And plant, of course, as I said, it's really good. And light is basically on the same par as fire. Fire is obviously one of the best ones, but light is on the same level. And like a Sweetie Bunny, you see that it has 67 attack and 216 health. which is really good. But then you look at the elements. It's got earth, plant, and void. And while plant is very good, void really isn't that great of an element. It's one you, for events, there's certain events that you need to have every element covered. Because throughout the levels, if it's one of the castle events, there'll be certain levels, and each battle, you can only, like, there'll be certain battles where you can only have void dragons, or you can only have earth dragons. And so you want to have, in each battle, the dragon levels, like if you've got a level 70 and then all the rest of your dragons are level 30, you're not going to win those battles. You're going to have to either spend to skip them, or that's basically you're just going to spend to skip them, because you have to have an even amount. Because of course, if you've got a dragon that you fed to level 70 that's fire, wind, and earth, and then you have a void battle and all your voids are level 30, you're obviously not going to beat that battle. So you're going to have to spend. So something that I didn't take into account, and that would be nice for you guys to do as we're growing, is to grow evenly and make sure you have a whole team lined up for those events. So you're not, like I was, level 70 and your other ones lower, and having to spend even more time, and sometimes meaning you won't finish because you had to spend so much time collecting more of whatever the worlds or the lanterns, whatever it is on that type of event, like getting those to skip those battles. It's just very, and it can be, and if you really want the dragon that's on that last level, it's really going to suck if you didn't win just because you didn't plan ahead. And so I want to help you all make sure you plan ahead. But anyway, back to this. Sweetie Bunny would be a good one to go ahead and feed up, because you've got Earth, which is a good defensive. If you know the attacking dragons are a little bit stronger, then you can use Earth to protect you on your own dragons. And then the second round, while you're still protected, you could always use Plant. And Void, as I say, you probably won't use much, and it's just kind of there. It's not going to help you much. When I first started on my iOS account, I had Lynx as one of my first ones, and I didn't know anything about the attack, health. I didn't have anyone guiding me. And while it does have a high attack, the health is very poor. So you'll get the initial attack and get it, but then you may get killed immediately because it's got a lower health, depending on your opposing dragons. And so it's not one, it's good to have it for the energy, and for Earth, if you want to have it lower on your team to do the Earth to protect your other dragons, if you know it's going to be a longer battle. But generally, you don't want it to be one of your first dragons, in your first or second tier. So, okay, and now we've got, as you can see, the higher dragons that have the higher attack, which is really good, they also have a lower health. So you don't want to focus on those as being your battle dragons, because you may have a high attack, but then right out of the gate, as soon as your opponent attacks you, you'll probably either be dead or be close to death, and it's not going to have the longevity as, say, Golden Crow or Agave would. It's just not going to be beneficial for you. So I would avoid anything below 200. I would say do not go if it has a health of less than 200. And Lynx is right on there, so it's kind of borderline. It's not bad for now, but once you start getting higher dragons through breeding and events, you might want to phase that one out. But Sweetie Bunny is pretty decent. It'd be nice to have as your second or third tier to help protect you. With Plant, it isn't a bad one to have on your team. So I'm rethinking my own thing. So that's probably going to be a good one to have. Pitaya is probably going to be a really good one to have because it has light and wind, and it has some of the that'll help you with expanding your team for events. And Golden Crow has metal and energy, so that'd be another one. So just think about expanding, like fire, plant, and light and energy are the ones that are good for defensive battles. If you're wanting to get through as quickly as possible through the campaign map, then you're going to want to analyze where you want to put your food. And so those elements are going to be the best. And if you've got like Pitaya that's got plant and light, that's a good one to invest your time and your food in, because it does have a decent attack health ratio. So that's going to be a good one to invest in. And it's a newer one, so a lot of us were able to get it in this last event. So that's one to focus on. And then you've got Sweetie Bunny. And then Agave is always a decent one because it has fire, plant, and water. And you can always put that as your third dragon to use the water to heal your other dragons if you know it's going to be a longer battle. And Golden Crow is a good one to have because it gets that metal energy. And a lot of the events that are castle-based, you need to have metal covered. Metal isn't a great element for battling, but it is, you need that in your rotation when it comes to events. So I think that's it for now. Hopefully this was explanatory and not too confusing. And just send me your questions and I'll try and answer everything. And hopefully this helped. My first time doing this, so